Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the world of investing. In just the next few minutes, we're going to break down all the core ideas you need to know to really start making your money work for you. So let's just dive right in.
This is the big question, right? It's the one that keeps people up at night. You've worked so hard for your money, and you know you should be doing something with it. But that fear of the market dropping can be absolutely paralyzing. If that sounds like you, trust me, you are not alone. And that's exactly what we're here to tackle today.
It all really boils down to one fundamental concept. It's this simple. To get a higher potential return, you have to be willing to take on a little more risk. There's just no way around it. This relationship, risk and reward, it's the absolute foundation of everything in investing.
So how does that actually play out? Well, it comes down to this idea called the risk premium. The best way to think about it is as a reward for being brave. It's the extra bit of potential return an investment has to offer to convince you to take a chance on it instead of just picking the safest option out there.
Let's make this really concrete, okay? So a government treasury bill might pay you, say, 1%. That's pretty much considered risk-free. Now, if a mutual fund is projected to return 9%, that extra 8%, that is your risk premium. It's the potential payout you get for accepting the ups and downs that come with the fund. You're literally being paid to take a risk. So, when we use this word risk, what are we actually talking about? Because it's a lot more than just the price of your investment dropping. There are actually a few different kinds of risk you've got to keep on your radar. First up is the sneaky one, inflation risk. And this Apple's example just explains it perfectly. Let's say your money is just sitting there, safe in a bank account. Its value, its purchasing power, can actually go down over time. If the price of everything doubles, your money is now worth half what it was. So that's a risk you're taking even when you think you're not taking any risk at all.
Then, of course, there's market risk. The economy as a whole has its cycles, its ups and downs. And, these big economic waves tend to pull most investments along for the ride. And it's a type of risk that's pretty much impossible to avoid completely.
And finally, let's touch on liquidity risk. This all comes down to a really simple question. How fast can you get your money back if you need it? Selling a house, for example, can take months. Selling a stock might just take a couple of days. But cash? Cash is there instantly. The trickier it is to sell something for a fair price, the more liquidity risk it has. Okay, so now that we have a better handle on the different kinds of risk, let's open up the toolkit. Let's look at the actual things you can use to invest. Think of these as different tools in your workshop, each one built for a specific job. Let's start by looking at two extremes, just to see the range we're working with. On one side, you've got something like a GIC, a Guaranteed Investment Certificate. It's super low risk because your initial investment, your principal, is guaranteed. But that safety means you're going to get a lower potential return. On the total opposite end is a stock. You're buying a tiny piece of a company. The potential for high returns is definitely there, but so is the risk. So you might be wondering, is there something in the middle? And the answer is absolutely. Which brings us to mutual funds. A mutual fund is basically just a big basket of investments. Instead of you trying to pick one winning stock, your money gets pooled together with a bunch of other people to buy dozens, sometimes hundreds of different stocks and bonds. And the real magic of mutual funds is that they bundle all these amazing benefits into one simple package. You get instant diversification, the whole don't put all your eggs in one basket thing. You get a professional manager making all the tough decisions for you. And they're usually really easy to buy and sell, which takes care of that liquidity risk we talked about.
And check this out. This number really drives the point home. Over 100. A single typical mutual fund might hold investments in over 100 different companies, spread across all sorts of industries. Can you imagine trying to buy all of those on your own? It gives you a level of safety through spreading your risk that's just so hard for one person to achieve.
All right, so we've covered what you can invest in. Now let's talk about where you hold those investments. Because certain types of accounts can act like power-ups, seriously boosting how fast and how efficiently your investments can grow.
Now, this is a super important point that trips up so many people. An account like an RRSP or a TFSA is not an investment by itself. It's a container. It's a special wrapper you put your investments into that gives them these incredible tax sheltering powers. A perfect example is the RESP, the Registered Education Savings Plan. It's so simple and powerful. You put money in for a child's education, then the government often kicks in extra grant money, free money. The whole pot grows year after year without you paying tax on the growth. And then when the student needs it for school, they can take it out. It's just a brilliant setup.
Now, for your own goals, the two big ones you'll hear about all the time are the TFSA and the RRSP. The easiest way to think about the difference is this. With an RSP, you get a tax break now when you put money in, but you pay tax later when you take it out in retirement. With a TFSA, there's no tax break up front, but every single penny of growth and every withdrawal is completely 100% tax-free forever. They're both amazing tools, just for different situations.
Okay, deep breath. We've gone over risk, we've looked at the tools in the toolkit, and we've talked about these special accounts. So how on earth do you put all these pieces together to build a plan that actually makes sense for you?
You know, I absolutely love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. After learning all this stuff, the final decision has to be personal. There is no one-size-fits-all answer in investing, and figuring out your own comfort level with those ups and downs, your risk tolerance, that's the most important piece of the entire puzzle.
So, here it is. This is your roadmap. It all comes down to these 4 steps. First, define your goal. What is this money for? A house? Retirement? Then, be really honest with yourself about your risk tolerance. How would you feel if your investment dropped? Based on those 2 things, you can choose the right tools. And finally, you pick the best account to wrap it all up in to save on taxes. That's it.
And that really brings us to the end. We've laid out the framework, we've looked at the tools. The only thing left to do is to get started, so I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. As you look at your own life, what's the first financial goal you're going to start planning for?